We are. Let's go. We are live. We are live. We are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Anime After Hours. My name is Emoji. I'm here with my co-host Nikki G, OMW, and we're here on this first ever. This is a momentous thing. One of a kind interactive live podcast. I want to give a shout out to everyone here in the space on X right now. If you want to join us, feel free to follow any of our handles and come through and you can weigh in on the conversation. You can be a part of the conversation. So definitely come in, jump over on the X side of things. We do run giveaways courtesy of our affiliate partners, VV Digital Collectibles. And with that said, hold on. I do have to uh, give a brief message from our affiliate partners in five, four, three, two, one. Hey, what's up? My name is Emoji, and I'm here with Nikki G and OMW, and we're bringing you Anime After Hours. But before we do that, I want to give a brief shout out to our affiliates, VV Digital Collectibles. VV is the world's home of premium collectibles, comics, and artworks from brands that you love, like Viz Media, Marvel, Star Wars, Disney, and more. Take your collecting to the next level with VV Digital Collectibles and check out the link in our description box below or use the QR code that you see on the screen for $10 off your first purchase.
This is an interactive show and podcast recorded live in front of an online audience. Those in the crowd on X are welcome to join in on the conversation, but know that all conversations that take place during the show will be published across multiple platforms. With this being a live interactive show and podcast, please be mindful of your speech.
And now, let's get back to the show. And we are live and in the show and in the building. What's good? Wait, hold on. Where's my yays? That's what I need. Why do I not have my yays up? Working on it. Working on it. Working on it. It's. There we go.
Yay!
That was the most like anticlimactic yay. Anyway, it's there though. It's there though. How are you guys doing? I'm excited to start the show. This is episode 3. This is episode 3.
I can't believe we're on episode 3, man. Time is flying by.
It is. It is. You know what? I wanted to kind of like get the thoughts too of, because we've been in spaces for a minute. And Nikki, I know that this is kind of like a new realm of kind of just social interaction for you. And now that you're like 3 episodes in, well, plus a meet and greet and a beginning thingy, like now that you're a little bit into it, how would you say, you feel about as far as just the comfort of spaces, the vibe? It's obviously different from, YouTube chats. So, like, what are your thoughts?
Mhm. I think it's pretty chill and a lot of fun, honestly. I mean, it's nothing that I've ever really experienced before,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying having conversations about something that I'm really passionate about, you know?
I feel you. I feel you. Yeah, and that's the thing, and it's anime, right? So it's something that you have grown up with. You have, loved for how long have you been watching anime or been a fan?
Long time. It's got to be over 20 years.
Oh wow. So yeah, so something that you had grown up with and that resonates with you, which is like the biggest thing. And I mean, for me, I really wanted to do a show that is focused on things that I love. So it's cool to kind of do that, and it's cool to also be able to have it, in conversation, right? Or part of conversation where other people can weigh in and talk to us. So, so yeah. I want to also
Mhm.
to let everyone know regarding the rules for the second giveaway. And actually, you know what? Maybe I can get that going right now. So we do have 2 giveaways that we do for the show. The first one started out with the pre-show giveaway, which we are still working on the winner for that because the system is a little glitchy. So we're working on that, but there is a second giveaway. And the second giveaway, hold on real quick. Let me just Nikki, I'm gonna solo on you real quick just because I need you to do something on the camera. But the second giveaway is gonna be kind of like a game.
Okay.
It's gonna be kind of like a game. Let me hold on. Let me go to my draft post. There we go. And once again, for everyone in here, oh dang, it doesn't do that. For everyone in here, there will be three ways to enter into this giveaway. All right. So the first way is your traditional way, where you like and repost the space that you're in. Right? So the space that you're in right now, and for those that may not be on X or maybe on YouTube or in Twitch land or wherever you are, just hop over to X. You can, if you're on Nikki's thing, you'll see her X profile there, or you can jump over to me at official emoji, 2 eyes at the end. So the first way is to like and repost the space. The second way to enter into the giveaway is to hold on. There we go. Is to like and repost the live stream. The live stream is now currently pinned to the top. It's pinned to the top of the page. You'll see the visual. So liking and reposting the live stream is the second way to enter into the giveaway. The third way of entering into the giveaway is in the live stream. In the comment section of the live stream. Once again, that is posted to the top. Tag 3 people and either name your favorite anime or throw a gif of your favorite anime. Now, why are there 3 ways to do this? Okay. Because you, as the audience, are going to decide which is the way that we give the giveaway today. So if you also look at the top, I just pinned it, there are hidden doors. Giveaway option number 1, giveaway option number 2, and giveaway option number 3. So, wait, hold on. Why do I not have my backing music? I need my. There we go. Okay, I feel empowered now. Y'all can't hear it. I can. This is a for me thing. Okay. So everyone in the audience, you guys can vote which option. Now this is random. From what I said, it's gonna be either off of the space, it'll be off of the live stream, or it'll be off of the comment section in the live stream. You won't know until the end which option that you're choosing. So whichever option is the one that wins, I'll announce at the end which is the one. So how do you guarantee entry into the giveaway? Well, you got to do everything. I mean, you don't have to. You can do one of the 3, but then you only have 33% chance that you might win. So once again, in order to, there's 3 ways to enter into the giveaway. 1 is to like and repost the space. 2 is to like and repost the live stream. And 3 is in the comments of the live stream, tag 3 people and either name your favorite anime or throw a gif of your favorite anime. Oh, there is a wild card in this. If the live stream comment version is the version that's picked, once again, this is random. These are hidden doors. Giveaway option 1, 2, and 3. Hidden doors. I'll let you know who wins at the end, or what option is decided at the end. But if it falls on the comment section on the live stream, same rules apply for the pre-show, which means you can spam it, and the more entries you have, the more likelihood you have of winning. So let's all be engaged. I like engagement. It's fun. It's a fun process. So once again, you guys can feel free to vote. It is at the top. Whichever one is the one that wins out is the I'll announce as far as how that giveaway is done. If it does land on a draw, we'll flip a coin or figure something out. We'll do something. But yes, that is going to be how the giveaway is done. All right. So I think was that clear enough, or do Do you guys
Yeah,
have the
before the
question?
show, I thought
I
you
think
said that it was
so.
going to be gamification based on the visuals of the thing. I thought,
Yes.
oh, it may be an Easter egg hunt of what's in the studio. Because I'm like, oh, like name the animal next to Nikki G right now, which would be Hamtaro. But it's just like, okay, we're not going that direction. Oh, see, look, Hamtaro's in the front. It's very cool. Wait, who else is that? Oh, wait a second. Is that
That is
Mikasa?
Mikasa. Yeah.
Oh my
Mikasa.
gosh. From Titan, man, you keep upping the game of the studio. It's gorgeous. And keep it going, emoji. Good job.
Hey, well, I'm glad. And I also too want to give a big shout out because we already broke above 3,000 on the live stream. Shout out to the 3,076 in the live stream. And
Already, wow.
let's go. Let's go. Shout out Nai Taika in the chat. What's good? What's good? What's good? Feel free, anyone on the stream, on the live stream, if you want to come through the space to enter into the giveaway, we do have a giveaway for a random VV Digital collectible. So feel free to slide through. Or you can chill on the stream, whichever floats your boat. All right. Topic of discussion. Topic of discussion for today is, well, I should say the title of the show today is Do It for the Culture, right? And I mean, anyone that I think one of the big things that people notice too when it comes to anime, especially if you're from the West, is there are some cultural differences, right? There's some things as far as whether the way the characters present each other, present themselves, the way that the stories are told, what may be the focus, and I wanted to kind of like dive into those differences, you know. And I think, and Nikki, you are an excellent person to do this with because I mean, you've been watching anime for 20 years of your life. You're a lover of anime. You read manga. You're heavy into as far as the Japanese culture or Eastern culture. And I wanted to kind of like have a discussion about, you know, some of those differences, some of those unique things, and especially for people that may be jumping into it for the first time, what to expect, and you know, what things are different or what things are special. And John, also too, feel free to weigh in, bro, because I know you as well. You know, you know, you have a wealth of wisdom when it comes to the culture of anime, or yeah, otaku culture, I guess.
Not as much on the recent, so I don't know who was doing that Spider-Man roll dance that I saw pop up in your studio. Who was
Mm-hmm.
that?
That is Gojo. You talking about this right here?
Oh, from Demon Slayer?
Oh
That is
From
JJK.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
no,
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yes.
There you go. I'm gonna get up to with my contemporary anime someday, but there you go. Okay,
There you
that's who that
go.
was.
There you go.
Little laughing Vegeta. Got it. Okay.
And shout out biggest bro in the chat. What's good? What's good? What's good? So Nikki, did you when you know, we talked about before as far as just, you know, your intro into anime and things that kind of like got you hooked or into it, but like as you were diving more into it, you had to notice some differences between that and, you know, some of the Western cartoons, or whether it be your Disney's and things like that. Um, for you, what about those things were different or unique, or even like kind of gravitated you towards it?
I think, you know, back in the old days, um, Western cartoons, and I feel like it's still this way today, but it's definitely changing, is that it was always either for little kids, for, you know, regular, you know, like 10-year-old to 12-year-old kids, and then it totally skipped the teen and young adults and it went right to like adult cartoons, South Park, Simpsons, Family Guy kind of shows.
Mm-hmm.
And I definitely think that there's been a change, which I think is definitely inspired by Eastern anime, because there's been a lot of like Netflix cartoons that have been coming out recently, like the League of Legends cartoon is definitely, I would say, for, you know, teens and young adults, and the Devil May Cry adaptation that just came out. And I do feel like it's because they're realizing that older people like animation that's not just raunchy animation
Mm-hmm.
or like animation that's a parody of something else.
Yeah.
And I feel like that a lot of that has to do with anime, because they have, like we talked about last week, they can have something for each age, and I feel like that's a big difference.
For sure, for sure. Um, OMW, did you want to weigh in on that too, as far as just any type of differences, cultural differences, anything from going from Western animation, towards Eastern animation, and what kind of like hooked you, or what did you notice that was maybe different from the stuff that you were used to over here?
One of the biggest things that I've noticed was the tropes, right? Like, so
Mm-hmm.
you'll find more tropes in Eastern anime than you'll find in the Western anime, and it's more of like a cultural thing. Like, if you know, you know, um, which I think is pretty dope. But then also, it's the how the adults are portrayed in Western anime. Like, they usually seem slower, more irresponsible, not really taking care of
Dumb.
the family much.
They're dumb.
Yeah, they're dumb. Yep. Thank you, Nick. I didn't want to say it, but like they some dumb lollipops, okay? Um and that's like the complete opposite in anime that we're used to in the Eastern realm. Like you'll see a lot of uplifting stories and family values and morals that you don't see in the West.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting.
I feel like I feel like I feel like because Eastern cultures, they kind of hold a reverence to older people as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a respect that you have to give to your elders. Um so when you watch anime, there a lot of the time, like when you said tropes, OMW, like the teacher, Yu Yu Hakusho had Genkai, and even though Master Roshi was like, you know a pervert, he was somebody that was powerful and that you had to respect.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's a big trope in there, that the elder person who's your teacher, and that even if you have a problem with them, you still ultimately show them great respect for their wisdom. We don't see a lot of, like, I really respect my grandpa in Western cartoons or anything like that.
I feel you. That is true. That is true. Um, even just like little like subtle things that you would pick up on, like entering into a house, like taking your shoes off. Like there's little things that you kind of like look at, as far as like that's obviously unique to the region. But also another thing, and I was watching something earlier, kind of like breaking down as far as different things about the differences, even when it comes to like a Disney, right? Like Disney and anime, and it gave the example of the Hunchback of Notre Dame, and it compared that with what was it, A Silent Voice? Was that the movie with the girl that was deaf?
Hmm.
Okay, it compared
Yes.
two scenes from there, and it talked about how, like, with a lot of specifically with Disney stuff, they're very focused on the characters, right? Like building these characters and making you feel for these characters, and it's very much of a character struggle, right? And with that scene, it kind of talked about with the scene, for those that may have seen Hunchback of Notre Dame, with Quasimodo, and towards the end where he had to kind of like break. He had physical chains on him, but he also had to break through mental chains of the person that kind of made him believe these lies all his life. And there's a whole scene of him doing that to save Esmeralda. And it paralleled it with A Silent Voice, where there was a scene where the woman main character in it, she's deaf, and she gets to the point where she's going to jump off the side of a building, and the guy, he's trying to save her, but he's calling out for her, but she can't hear him, right? And the point that it was making with that was just like, it takes characters and it puts them in a circumstance, and it makes you feel for the circumstance, where you can kind of like insert yourself into it. So, and I thought that was interesting, as far as with focusing on the characters, versus focusing on the what's happening, the event. And I think both kind of like lend itself to a level of
Mm-hmm.
emotional impact.
Well, I guess one of the most extreme examples of that would be Perfect Blue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what that director was trying to say is that you have this idol, right? This J-pop idol who is beloved by the fans, and but it's all superficial, right? And
Mm-hmm.
underneath the layer of that is the actual human being who no one cares about, and you can see like the slow degradation and breakdown of that person's like psyche as their career like takes off, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so and it's just that kind of interior horror, or kind of like a case study or character study that Japan actually really does well. And Western audiences, I agree with Nikki G, are starting to warm up to this kind of things. I don't know if you guys know it, but Black Swan by I believe Darren Aronofsky was almost like a straight rip of Perfect Blue,
Yeah.
right? And so if you look at that from a Western point of view, so it's in the context of something you can gravitate towards because you have a cultural touchstone to it. Because we know that ballerinas go through it rough, right? And so when you see all of them go through that, then you kind of get it, and you're like, okay, I know they have it tough, but now you're really seeing the psychosis behind it, right? And but you needed that anchor in order to um, kind of get story integration, right? To have the suspension of disbelief and really subsume into like that world build, right? And I think Japan just has different cultural touchstones, right? And I'm glad you mentioned Disney emoji
Mm-hmm.
because especially early on, what did Disney use in order to be a universally, beloved franchise? It used fairy tales, right? What are
Mm-hmm.
fairy
Fairy
tales?
tales.
Yeah, fairy tales are like the stories everyone in the Western world knows, right? And so like you grew up with it. And even though yes, cartoons are for children, a lot of those theatrical releases weren't really kiddie, right? What
Mm-hmm.
the reason why they were fairy tales and why it seemed like they were targeting young people is because those were the stories everyone was told as children. And so that was like the universal kind of glue upon which Disney could build its stories, right? And so, in other words, like you may not know the latest and greatest, that just came out on Broadway in like the 40s or the 50s or whatever it is in your middle of Kansas or something like that. But you will have known of Sleeping Beauty because your mom or dad read that to you when you were a kid, right? And so when you go watch Sleeping Beauty, you get it already, but then you get to see the spectacle as Disney's presenting it to you. And sometimes he definitely took liberties with those stories, especially with like the Little Mermaid a little later on. Like the story's completely different, right? But you understand the context culturally in order to grab on and go for it. And just like in Eastern audiences, they somewhat patterned that as well later on. I guess one of the most famous ones, of course, is Dragon Ball, which is based
Journey to the
loosely
West.
on Journeys to the West,
Yep.
right? And so every kid in Asia knows about
Wait,
Goku.
wait, 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 wait. What?
Dragon
Yes.
Ball is based off Journey to the West. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
You didn't know that?
Mm-hmm.
So the Monkey King is something that every Asian kid grew up knowing
Yeah.
the entire
Wukong.
story about,
Wukong.
right? And so basically, Goku is Wukong, right? And so even before Ball Z, when it was called Dragon Ball, what did Goku look like? Right? He had the little extending staff. He ran around on that floating cloud, and he had a monkey tail. Right? That is. Uh, like literally the hero from Journey to the West. It was like a parody, right? And kids, and remember, it was originally a kids show, right? And so Toriyama was like, okay, I'm going to capture the spirit of Journey to the West and basically tell this anime story, or actually manga story, and then it was later adapted, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until later that the R farming started. It became a completely different thing, right? But it started as a loving nod to this story that every single Asian kid knows, which is the Journey to the West.
True, true, true. That's actually another reason why I really wanted to play that Wukong game that came out because I was like, I can feel like I'm playing Dragon Ball. But yeah, no, 100%, 100%. Um, what? I don't know. Like, what do you guys thinks? Do you guys have any other thoughts or weigh-ins as far as just with like the tone?
Oh yes, two more things if it doesn't mind. I'm sorry. I know I could go on, but so I'm setting a limit to
Well, let
myself by
me.
saying
Well,
two.
wait, John. Let me just see real quick if my co-hosts have anything to add
Sure,
real
sure,
quick,
sure,
and then
sure.
we'll circle back. But Nikki or OMW, did you guys have anything to add?
Yes. Okay. So when we're talking about Eastern and Western, and we're talking about the individual, in Eastern cultures, they definitely have a collectivism point of view, which means that what's good for everybody is good for me. And in the West, we kind of have more like, uh, what it's. I don't mean to. How do I put this in not a
The
mean
Lone
way?
Ranger is
But
the
like, what am
hero,
I on my
right?
own terms?
Independent spirit.
I'm yeah, basically like
Like a lone wolf?
if I'm gonna be happy, I have to focus on my own happiness.
Hmm.
Not like a lone wolf because we still have partners, we still have families. It's
Hmm.
just that we focus on our own happiness in order to make our lives better. And they in Eastern cultures they think that in order to be happy, you have to make sure that everybody around you is also happy.
Hmm.
So a lot of cartoons from or anime they focus on like, who am I in relation to others, how am I going to affect other people, and a lot of Western animations are definitely more like the hero's journey. And not saying that there's not a hero's journey, it's just a different type of hero's journey, and I think that's a big cultural difference between the two. It's always like, you know, I feel like a lot of heroes' journeys in anime are always like this big group of people who are coming together to fight something. And a lot of the time in Western, especially with like superheroes and stuff, and though we have things like Justice League and the Avengers, but if we focus on things like comic books and things like that, it's like the one hero who's trying to overcome everything by himself and what he can do that. And I think that's a really big difference. That kind of mindset,
I feel
everybody
you.
versus just me. And I think that's something that we can think about.
I feel you. I feel you. OMW, did you have any weigh in on that? Before I jump
Man,
in.
I think you guys covered it pretty well, honestly. I think some of the bigger differences have already been covered for the most part, and I think that now it's just like little nuances here and there that you'll pick up, but you won't really grasp until you actually like do a second or third watch. You're like, wow, this reminds me a lot of this, or this reminds me a lot of this, or they have a lot of the same morals in these shows.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think John and Nikki did a great job of covering that. So
Okay, awesome. And I do want to say that we do have our pre-show giveaway winner. So I do want to give a big shout out. I see him here in the audience. Shout out to Augustus. Augustus, our pre-show winner. Um, congrats, congrats, congrats. All right. Let me hold on real quick. Let me actually hold on because this thing is bugging. Just give me 1 second.
while he figures that out, I just wanted to say shout out to Augustus. Thank you for being here in the chat with us. I know that you've been popping through our shows very frequently since episode one, so we really appreciate the consistent effort to show up. Thank you, brother. We appreciate you. I'm gonna do a quick shout out to the people that we have in these spaces. Shout out to Viper, Casual, Unibonger, Mahalo, Dubes, Omar. Dubes, I sent you a DM. If you can reply to that DM, it'd be greatly appreciated. Um, Omar, Nas, Clint, Augustus, Majin Jesus, Cosmic Disarray, Shankster, Lexi, the Doctor, and Penguin. Let's go. Thank you.
Awesome,
Uh,
awesome.
there is one thing that On My Way said that actually ties exactly to what Nikki was talking about, and I think it's the like a macro difference that that is like inborn into what happens in Eastern, and is spiritualism, right? So you can have like a Confucian background or a Buddhist background or even a Taoist background, and there's just certain ways that you operate, as an individual or with other people that is just ingrained in that, or even if that is not the way that you see things, of it, right? It's like you just grew up around it, right? And it's just literally part of the geography and of where you live and how you interact with people. I'll give you an example. Like for Confucius, it would be like the respect and honor thing that Nikki was talking about. So when, especially for rom coms, you'll see like that slow warming up between people who are strangers, and you will see them like a typical trope would be calling like dropping the honorifics, right? And I don't think Western audiences understand that
That's
at
my
all,
favorite.
right? And so like when they
I
start out, like literally they call themselves by their last names with an honorific attached to it, depending
yes.
on how old you are, right? And even among like kids, they do that, right? And it's not until you get super close that you even
Hmm.
call each other by their first
First
names.
name, yeah.
Yeah. So, and that is just something that,
I
yeah.
just wanna bring this oh sorry.
Oh no, go for it.
I just wanna bring up this one point. We're gonna be talking about dub versus sub in a later episode, but one of the things about the Don dub was that they had Okarun call her babe, and which is, I guess, it's cute and everything, but there was something when you've watched as much anime subbed, and you read manga, and you hear him call her Momo-chan, her by her first name, you kind of like it's a different feeling for them, because it's just like, oh my gosh, how close do you think I am? Like, I mean, you could call somebody when you're in the West and you're like, hey babe, like it could be like a cat call. I don't know, it just didn't have the same gravitas for me as when he called her Momo-chan for the first time, and I think that's a huge cultural difference between the East and West.
Yeah,
Because
honorifics
it's just
is
like
huge. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it,
Absolutely. Oh,
when you start calling your significant other by their first name, it's a huge deal in Japan, like a huge deal.
like you will
I mean,
even
so
hold
many times
hands
you watch
before
an
you
anime
call
and
them
they're
by their
calling,
first name, right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And even sometimes you'll still use an honorific, even if you're using their first name. You could still use kun or san or something like that. I mean, not everybody, but I'm just saying that it's just so weird. Like, you don't call this person by their first. You're dating this person, you've kissed this person, but you're still calling them by their last name.
Yeah, I feel
Oh,
that.
and,
So
and we
that's
should
a
actually
huge
talk
one.
about
So
that as
yeah,
well,
for
Nikki,
sure.
because like physical intimacy, like in terms of bedroom stuff, and actually when it even comes to bedroom humor, it's
Yes.
not as big a deal in Japan as it is in the Western world, right? So when you see like, and I know it's
Hmm.
very salacious for Western world people, but like when you have like a hot springs episode or something of that nature, and people are just walking around naked, or that you go to like a public bath and everyone's just walking around naked, it's just like it's not that much of a big a deal. You know what I mean? But in the Western world, it's like, oh my God, I would never,
Yeah,
right? So
nudity with other people of the same gender is not a big deal in Eastern cultures. I mean, they have bathhouses, they have hot springs. I mean, a lot of parents will bathe with their children up to a certain point, which is something that we don't really do. And it shows a lot in anime. They show like I feel like I remember in Dragon Ball in the manga, little Goku running around with his little pee hanging out, and it's just and um it's just something that happens. It's not like you really won't see that kind of nudity in Western cartoons,
yeah, I
especially when
remember
they're
the first
aimed
time I
Yeah.
for
saw
children,
Totoro, and I was
like
so
Dragon Ball
shocked
was.
because the dad was taking a bath with the two daughters, and one of us like 12 years old. I'm like, what the hell's
Yes,
happening right now? But that's just like a thing, and
but
it's
that's
not a big
totally
deal.
normal.
Yeah,
It's
it's totally normal.
totally normal over there. Yeah.
I want to say shout out Slammy in the chat. Shout out Slammy in the chat right now. We are hitting 6,504 on the live stream. Let's go. Once again, we do have a second giveaway for tonight. In order to enter into the giveaway, there are three ways to do that: liking and reposting this space, liking and reposting the live stream that's pinned to the top, and also in the comments section, tagging three people and throwing your favorite anime in there. You can do it as a GIF, you can do it, you can just name it. But one of those options is going to be how we determine the winner. And the way that we choose which option is also at the top. You'll see a poll. Giveaway option 1, 2, and 3. You guys can cast your vote. This is Hidden Doors. It's Hidden Doors. So I will, once the timer runs out, we got 17 minutes left. Once the timer runs out, we'll find out how it's done. And if it's even, then what should we do if it's even? Maybe. Oh, you know what we should do?
Run it again. Run it
Nah,
again.
we don't got time to run into it. If it's even, I'm gonna run it off the one with the least engagement. So out of the three things that I said, whatever one has the least, because that gives better odds. It gives better odds for whoever's in there. So the one with the least engagement will be the one that we do it. Does that sound good?
I think you should
Okay.
do the one with the most engagement. Give the
But
people a reason to keep on doing it. Let's
but if you
go,
do it with the
bro.
most engagement, then you can kind of like just everyone go towards the same thing. With the least engagement, it's more competitive.
I'm gonna leave it up to you. I trust you, brother.
But all right, back to the conversation at hand, though. All right, cultural. You know another thing too that I think that stands out to a lot of people when they watch anime for the first time, specifically shonen, is the change in art. Like when emotion is conveyed, like the art, is kind of
Hmm.
like I guess you could say deconstructed. Like it's more
Oh,
simplistic.
gag culture? Yeah, we should talk
Yeah,
about gag culture.
yeah, and I noticed that a lot when people watch anime for the first time. They're like, "Well, why do their heads get big?" Or why did they just change
Chibi
all
and
of a
stuff.
sudden?
Yeah, yeah.
Why do they
Yeah,
sweat from the back of the head? What's up with that vein popping? Like, yeah, what's up with
yeah,
that?
Hmm.
yeah. Did you guys want to weigh in on any of that? Like, for me, it seems like it's more of like a thing that's in like the younger stuff. So I see it mainly like in shonen or shoujo stuff, or obviously Kodomomuke as well. But like, I don't notice
It
seeing it.
it does it does it
Mm-hmm.
does for sure. It does for sure happen in all the demographics, but
Mm-hmm.
it really is like, I mean, if you're gonna be reading like a super hard hitting drama, you're not gonna see gag panels very often.
Mm-hmm.
But in things like romantic comedy, no matter the demographic, you're gonna definitely see gag panels. That's
Okay.
just it's just what it is. That's just what they do.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna see a chibi. You're gonna see you know, fiery eyes or whatever they want to, whatever. It's like basically they show that one emotion and then like they amplify it up to like 1,000.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what they do. And we really don't kind of have that unless we're kind of copying, like Avatar definitely, I think used it a couple times, but
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely a Eastern inspired animation, so that's probably why.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm so used to it that it's kind of like it's funny. I didn't even think much of it until I recommended Tails actually Jujutsu Kaisen, and he was like, "But why does the art change like that?" And it hit me. I was like, "Oh, I didn't even notice that." Like I'm so accustomed to it, but yeah, that is a difference, right? And on the topic of emotion, right? I think that dials back to what you were saying too, as far as like just evoking emotion, whether even if it's like for humor and things like that, or exaggerating things. And I think that that's another kind of like tonal thing with anime, exaggeration, but to kind of like make it an
Hmm.
emotional experience. Like I've never been interested in volleyball a day in my life until I saw haiku. It made volleyball so like it made it like the most amazing sport ever, and yeah, like I don't know, like that's another thing that hits for me. I don't. What about you?
Um, what do you mean, like in like the
Mm-hmm.
emotions? Of course,
Yeah.
I think. I feel like emotional complexity is a huge part of anime, and I wanted to actually talk about something called mono no aware,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that's used a lot in anime, and it's the basically what that roughly translates to is like like how time goes by so quickly. um it's like nostalgia, lost beauty, which is something that's very very heavy into anime. So Emoji, I know that you really love the movie Your Name, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the an example of this feeling would be the moment when the characters forgot each other's names even as they sense something important is slipping away. it's when, you know, an anime character standing in a road surrounded by cherry blossoms, and they're looking at the beauty of it, but also realizing how fast all the cherry blossoms are going to go away. And it's those kind of feelings that are definitely permanent in a lot of anime. That feeling of beauty and how this moment is magical, but everything's gonna go, and you know we have to focus on, like, you know, the longing of something. There's so many different movies. Wolf Children, when the mother watches her son run into the wild, choosing a different path.
which
It's
we
that
are
kind of
reviewing. We are
feeling
reviewing Wolf
that is in
Children.
so. Yes,
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ghibli uses it quite a
Mhm.
lot. Whispers, yeah. Whispers of the Heart, A Sunrise View of Tokyo after a night of creative searching and self-discovery. It's it's very important to them, and I feel like Western animation doesn't really focus on a fleeting feeling. They definitely focus on, you know, challenging authority, and there's definitely, you know, a good versus evil. Where there's not saying that there's not movies that are focusing on, you know, more in-depth things. I feel like Disney does a lot of, you know, a range of emotions, but there's definitely a good versus evil thing for a lot of Disney movies.
Mhm.
And I feel like anime can sometimes, you know, it's just different, because I also feel like if we're also gonna sorry
No worries. No
we also have to think spiritually. um Anime deals with a lot of Shinto, Buddhism, Confucianism ideals, and Western animation definitely deals with a lot of ideas from Christianity, you know, angels, demons.
worries.
And I think that's a huge difference too, is that religion plays a huge part in our cultures.
Mhm.
Whether, you know, you believe or not, it's something that's going to make a mark on our stories, and I think that's something that is also important.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree, and interesting too. You bringing up the aspect of kind of like being able to tell a story and not necessarily having to have a good versus evil. Because now I'm thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of anime that I love. There's no bad guy in it. Like, there's no bad guy in Your Line April. There's no bad guy in Your Name.
I mean,
Um, hmm?
yeah, if you think about slice of life, there's really no,
Yeah.
it's not a good versus evil story,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's this is my life, this is how we deal with my life, these are the things that are going on in my life. How do I overcome those things? They're not evil. It's not but it's still a story.
Mm-hmm. True. True.
It's nuance, it's shades of gray, it's life itself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think that was actually a huge. I mean, that is actually one of the best cultural shocks to discuss, which is, the AKA good guy doesn't always win. It shocked me for the first time where I was following who I thought was the protagonist or thought was the hero, and then it was like, oh, hold on a second, this is not going the way I thought it would go. And yet through that, even though you were now watching either the villain or someone who is now morally ambiguous or whatever it is, it still wasn't even anti-hero, right? It didn't fit into the compartments correctly, right? And so it fit closer into what I mean, because like, I have a Korean background, like we have something called Han, right? And Han is like beauty and suffering, right? And it's not as impermanent as the thing Nikki was discussing, but I kind of got a hint because when I saw like kind of like the tortured emotions before coming to that silent realization that it was what it's gonna be, and then there was like there's kind of like dignity in that, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the kind of thing that I mean, and again, like I see that in a lot of shonen, right, where you see the supposed hero like not winning a lot, right, and you're like, what's happening? But that is what really a hero's journey is about, right? And it's really interesting that in Disney, and let's go back to Disney because that's probably what a lot of Western audiences understand. To me, the one that really focused in on that for the first time, it was a huge hit because I don't think Western audiences were used to it, was Lion King, right? Because I mean, my boy
Mm-hmm.
lost his dad. I mean, you don't come back from that. Like the dad's gone. You know what I mean? And it was like tearjerker. It was crazy bad, right? And then he did all the wrong things for most of the life that we saw him growing up in the movie. You know, he just ate bugs, Hakuna Matata, like running away from the face. Like he wasn't acting like a hero, right? For most of the movie, right? And even at the end, it was more of like accepting his role in the cycle of life. It wasn't necessarily that, you know, he overcame because he was a superhero. He just realized that, you know, in the course of things, and you know, nature has a way of bringing the cycle back around, right? And so it was just almost kind of like Buddhist in nature, you know, the way that, you know, he was able to obtain, you know, the entire land that was is shown to him, not by being greedy like Scar, but just by accepting life as it came, you know, which is and not either running away from it either, right? So it was that it was just like so interesting that that was given, and it seems so familiar to me. Again, you know, I come from Asian background until I realized Lion King was, you know, actually, you know, from the guy who created Astro Boy. It was Kimba the White Lion. It's like, oh, that whole thing came from Kimba the White Lion. So yeah, so the hero's journey like is something that really it gravitates. Of course, you could say Gilgamesh was the first, but I mean, Journey to West is totally a hero's journey. And so again, Asian cultures like integrate that into almost everything they do when it comes to storytelling in terms of that type of thing. And Kimba definitely had that, and then Kimba became Simba and all the rest of that. So yeah, I think Western audiences are starting to warm up a little bit to the kind of things that we see. But there's some things that I just don't think are gonna ever kind of translate. Like for instance, you were mentioning before, Nikki, about how it's so important that, you know, the families, you know, are integrated, or get along, or the drama is that they don't. And like for instance, Rama one half, right? A lot of you guys know Rama, right?
Hmm.
And
Right.
wasn't the premise so
Mhm.
strange to you guys? It was an arranged marriage among two kids who
Marriage.
like in
Yeah.
the 80s, right? And it's like this is the 1980s, or like late 80s, early 90s. It's like, shouldn't we not be doing arranged marriages anymore? And yet, if you look at the entire focus of the thing, the reason why the cast was so huge is because it was everything surrounding like Akane's life and the extension of it, including her family, and everything surrounding like Rama's life and his father, and the extension of all the like kind of complicated relationships that came through that, right? And they were all kind of forced to literally marry into each other's lives in a way that just was like hijinks ensued, but it really was impossible. And yet, somewhere deep down, you know, as like say a Japanese reader or watcher, you want to root for the couple because you feel like they belong together, right? And it just wouldn't make sense to Western audiences why the kids would even consider it, right? And some of the most beautiful parts
Hmm.
of that series is when they would be walking to school and they wouldn't be saying anything to each other. Like Rama would be walking on top of the fence, Kanye would be walking on the street, and then they wouldn't say anything to each other, and they would just be walking to school in quiet, in you know, not saying anything, and those brief moments where they're just allowed to just be in each other's presence is fleeting
Be in
and
the
it's beautiful.
and be in the moment. Right.
Yeah, and it's so romantic, and yet
Hmm.
Western audiences would be like, "There's nothing going on in the scene. Why are we watching them just walk for 5 minutes? It makes no sense, right?" So all those kind of like little cultural complications and intentions and meanings, I think, are kind of you know, cultural language that maybe Eastern audiences have that Westerns don't get kind of like the richness of because they don't have that background.
Hmm. I wanted to ask a question to Nikki and OMW real quick to see and John, I mean you could
Hmm.
weigh into it as well. But Nikki, are you like uh a fan of like Ghibli stuff, Miyazaki's films?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, so I wanted to and maybe you can
I've
uh-huh.
no, no. Go on. What was the
Oh,
question?
okay. So here's my question, right? And I'm diving into some more like Miyazaki stuff, right? So, and we're gonna be doing that with Toontown to Tokyo too on on VV Magic's channel. But I know that like a lot of times when I see comparisons to or trying to introduce people or Western people over to um, to anime, many times it's those Studio Ghibli or Studio Ghibli films that's recommended, especially for those that come from like a Disney background. So much so that I mean Disney handled the distribution for them for a bit. I wanted to know, in your
Hmm.
opinion, looking at those Miyazaki films and the style of that, do you think that there's anything that kind of like from those movies and Western movies like Disney movies that maybe kind of makes that bridge a little easier?
Hmm. I don't. I guess I feel like Ghibli movies are definitely family oriented, which definitely goes into the umbrella of Disney movies, which were, they're made for the family. The family can enjoy them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you think of Spirited Away, which is probably one of the most popular ones, it's about a little girl who's trying to save her parents, right? And all the things that she goes through. And it's definitely a huge culture difference because you're seeing all of these things that you've probably never seen before if you've just stuck with Western anime.
Mm-hmm.
And those moments like when she's on the train going through the flooded waters with no name, and like kind of like that kind of quietness that we were talking about before. But I do feel like because children are sometimes them, especially I feel Spirited Away, a child is the main character, which is kind of common with other cartoons in the West, and it's very colorful, and it deals with kind of fantasy, which is something that a lot of Disney movies also deal with, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's why it's pretty easy for people who don't really watch anime they'll still be like, "Oh, but I love Spirited Away."
Yeah.
I love it's always Spirited Away for but I feel like that's probably the reason why is it can I feel like it's one of those movies that can definitely be a good crossover. His movies definitely cross over very well to the West, even though they do have, you know, things that are definitely Eastern influenced.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, and I always wondered that. That was something I always wondered because exactly what you said. Like people may not be into anime, but then they'll recommend Spirited Away or like or different Miyazaki films. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, there has to be a bridge, right? There has to be something where it's kind of like it's very familiar. So that makes sense. We do have the methodology of the giveaway. The poll is done, is completed. They did choose in the audience. They chose option one, which I'm gonna announce very shortly what option one is. But I did want to, if OMW or if John, if you guys wanted to weigh in on that thought or question, feel free to.
Yeah, on my way first, and then I have some thoughts. Go ahead, on my way.
John, feel free, unwrap, because
Alrighty.
I like hearing you know, um, your monologue, and then I'll close it out.
Well, here's what I would say about Spirited Away. I think the reason why Spirited Away is so popular is because maybe when they were young, that's what their parents showed them first, right? And it's the reason why the parents thought of it first is because it was the one that won the Academy Award, right? And so that was the one first one in the Western audience to introduce them to Studio Ghibli's work. And the funny thing is, when people ask me for a
Mm-hmm.
recommendation, I never recommend Spirited Away first. Right? To me, that's kind of later on in Miyazaki's career. It's like when he is actually, he doesn't actually care. He is doing what he wants to do at that point, and you'll see that later on, like with Mononoke and things like that. He is straight up, almost like doing this for himself because he's driven by his passions, right? For me, if you were like, okay, give me a perfect Western audience introduction, it would be something like Laputa or Kiki, right? Because Laputa is like the perfect action adventure based in like almost like folklore, folk tales. It's literally based on a story from Gulliver's Travels, and the pacing is very Western in nature. The anti-heroes, are very relatable. The action, it has robots, and it's like, and it's just it's very Western oriented, this, and the reason I would recommend Kiki is because Kiki is so almost like American minded, actually, because unlike a lot of the other movies that we've been discussing today, Kiki is a young girl who like leaves her family, because she's told that as a witch, even at a young age, you have to make it on your own. You have to like basically be an entrepreneur, right? Like she's asked at like age
That's
what,
true.
12 or 13, whatever it is, to start her own business, but she's not told what business that is going to be, right? So she didn't start out saying like, I'm a genius at flying, so I'm going to start a delivery service. Like literally, she, the only thing she could manage to do was fly, and she wasn't very good at it, right? And so it's all about her journey of like self-discovery and growing in confidence and self-independence, and until she was ready to even accept a hand in friendship or to socialize with others and all that kind of thing. It's very very compelling for a young adult to watch. I've found, and Kiki is like one of my favorites, like to show my children, and daughter John's actually right here, right? She can tell you how many times I showed her Kiki. But yeah, that would be my recommendation. Now I
That is
want to.
actually one that's on the agenda for
I
Toontown
think VV
Studio.
Magic will love it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think VV
it's
Magic will love it.
Janie's favorite movie, and yeah, we're gonna be reviewing Kiki's Delivery Service.
And that's another thing, right? Because in terms of witches, like the Western world knows witches, right? And so this is a very kind of innocent way to
Hmm.
show a witch that is not as threatening, right? And it's like witches just like us, right? That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to make one caveat though, because we're saying Studio Ghibli a lot, but or Ghibli or however you want to say it. But the thing is, we're talking about Hayao Miyazaki, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing is Studio
Right.
Ghibli to
Yeah.
me is also Takashi. I'm sorry, is the other director, and I wouldn't recommend any of his works to a first timer because like Grave of the Fireflies, people aren't ready for it. You know what I
Grave of the
mean? Or
Fireflies will traumatize you. And Majin, I know
that should not be the first.
Majin keeps trying to get people to watch that.
Why?
Like he's setting people up.
You know what the insane thing is?
Mm-hmm.
It came out at literally the same time as Totoro by Miyazaki came out.
Oh
Like
my
it, can you
god.
imagine that double feature? It was like, and it literally shows like the perfect example of like where that director goes
Mm-hmm.
in the studio versus where Miyazaki goes. And actually, one of the most gorgeous things that Isao ever did was the Tale of Princess Kaguya, right? But that the
Hmm.
entire storytelling is literally so foreign to Western audiences, I don't think they're gonna get it.
No,
They're
they're not.
totally not gonna get it, right? The whole thing's done in calligraphy style, right? The whole like literal art form is something that resonates deeply with Eastern audiences. The Westerners like, why is it all ink blotty? I don't get it. Like, what the hell is up with the style, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
the method of telling the story is foreign, and yet every kid again grew up knowing about uh, uh, the Moon Princess, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
in Eastern world, like they all know. Like Sailor Moon is literally a parody of Kaguya, right? So these kind of cultural touchstones, I think, just are very strong within Isao's work versus Hayao's work, right? So yeah, but you can't have one without the other,
For
right?
sure.
Like they both are very strong spiritually in terms of the message that they want to convey, and you. I mean, they literally lean on each other, man. So, like, I just really appreciate both works, but they're not absolutely not the same kind of thing in terms of a viewing experience.
John, I gotta say, I love your passion, bro. I love your passion. Nikki, were you trying to say something?
No, I was just listening.
Okay. So this is a topic I feel like we could go on at length about forever about, which is why it's awesome that we're going to have multiple episodes and covering multiple different things. But I think that this was cool. I think this was a nice breakdown as far as showing some of the differences, but also showing some of the strengths, from each cultural reference, whether it be Eastern or Western animation. So this is something I would love to dive into again at another time for another episode. We do have to get to the winner for, and I have to announce the method of winning, right? Because it's behind Hidden Door. Hidden Door number one is what they chose, right? On the poll at the top. I think it's Hidden
That's what
Door
you
number
said.
one.
Yeah.
Yep, Hidden Door number one. All right, so we're gonna find out what that is.
Yeah, that's
Let
right.
me Hmm. Okay. So let me. I know OMW said he wanted to say something real quick. Before we do that, and then get ready to close out. Did you want to say something? To weigh in. Before I announce the giveaway.
Yes, I did want to weigh in.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of animes apparently that I have not seen, and it makes me feel pretty sad inside. So I will be watching Spirited Away and what is it, Kiki's Delivery Service. I will also be watching that. I've
Let's
And
seen
go.
Laputa
memes.
Castle in the Sky. You will love it. Laputa is awesome.
Okay, I will add that to the list and make sure that I watch them all within the next 3 weeks. So, thank you guys for that. This show has been beautiful. Appreciate y'all and the knowledge.
I appreciate that, but bro, yo, the same thing, man. And I was,
Can I say?
yeah, yeah. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
can I say one thing? I just got a I just got a $19.99 super chat on my YouTube.
Let's
And we just
That
broke
says,
8K viewers,
"Oh, you
guys.
silly little
go.
oh, you silly little hamster, it's time to grow up, and that vengeful little lobster, you can bring him along." And those are lyrics from my Fooly Cooly Ride on Shooting Star cover. So thank you very much, C64. I very much appreciate the super chat. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Let's go. Let's go. And actually, did you want to say anything? I feel like we neglected the chat in the comment section. My bad. Did you have anything that you
The
wanted to?
YouTube
Hmm.
the YouTube chat was pretty quiet today.
Okay.
So nothing really to
Wait,
say.
there's 8,000
Just the
viewers
super
and there's
chat.
no
Thank you
chat
so
over
much.
there?
This
Wow.
is well, no, we're on two different
No,
things.
I'm on YouTube. It's different. It's
Oh,
different.
it's different. Oh, gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
So, oh, shout out Majin in the chat. He mentioned Fully Cooley. I have to watch that show too. But so OMW, what you were saying, bro? Like, yo, I was talking to Nikki the other day, and I was just like, I need you to, send me some anime recommendations too, just because, like, this show is yes, it's also about like kind of like showing other people anime and maybe be introducing people to anime or educating them on anime, but also the same with us, like. I feel I'm gonna be introduced to a lot of anime throughout this show from just through conversation. So I'm excited for that too, and that's just gonna broaden my range. So definitely, bro. We both gonna be binging a lot of stuff.
Oh, quick one thing about Fooly Cooley emoji. If you guys like Fooly Cooley a lot, the director of Fooly Cooley, who now is with Studio Kara, is currently doing the new Gundam show, which is called Gundam G Cooks, I believe. And so you'll see the character designs look very Fooly Cooley-ish as a result. So I hope you guys enjoy that.
Okay.
Yeah, the name G Cooks is wild. All right, that's crazy. Because things are cooking in 2025. Anime is absolutely cooking. G Cooks fire. Um, Fully Cooley, amazing emoji. You have to watch it. Now,
Okay.
take it away.
I agree.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
agree.
All right, so that is next on deck. All right, so our winner for the giveaway today. Well, first off, we have to find out what was behind door number 1. What was the criteria for winning the digital VV digital collectible for today's show? And behind door number 1 was you had to repost the live stream. We had, looking at the thing, we had 13 reposts on the live stream, which means that you had a 1 in 13 chance to win the collectible for that. And our winner was.
Five, four, three,
Shout out Dubes in the building, taking another win. Oh my good, yo, they.
Let's go.
Congratulations.
Congrats. They are cleaning house. They are cleaning house. But yes, Dubes, you won the giveaway by reposting the live stream, which you had a 1 in 13 chance of winning. So not bad odds, not bad at all. All right, we are at 8,064 in the live stream. Okay, and we're about to close up. Nikki, did you want to, after I close up the stream, did you want me to close on a song for the space of yours?
Yeah, why don't we do the Apothecary Diaries song to close out today?
Got it. Will do. All right. So Let me
Hey,
do.
what?
Nope, that is not what I want to do. All right, hold on. I have like so many sounds going on at the same time. Let me turn this off, the imaginary music that only I can hear. All right. All right, and we will transition back over into. Here we go. Once again, appreciate everyone that came through. Stay tuned. Everyone in the space, we will close the space with a song, a cover from Nikki G. But for the live stream, we are wrapping up. I want to say once again, appreciate everyone that came through. Shout out to the over 8,000 on the live stream. I see you, yo, Majin. I see you in the chat. What's good? Stop recommending people Grave of Fireflies. Stop doing. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. Okay. All right. Nas Clint in the chat. What's good? What's good? Yo, we do this every Thursday. Pre-show starts 7:30 p.m. where we kick it off with a collectible courtesy of Vivi. We do two. We do two collectibles. So make sure you come through early. Next weekend we will be covering more all things anime. My name is Emoji. I'm here with my co-host Nikki G, OMW, and this is Anime After Hours. Appreciate y'all on the stream.